1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. 12 districts have been identified as high-risk dengue breeding zones. All arrangements have been finalized to conduct the 74th Independence Day ceremony. Measures to open the Jaffna airport soon. Coconut can be purchased at a reasonable price from Sathusa. Several railway turns of operation have been cancelled due to corona. A 5-way program for journalists. In foreign news, North Korea missile tests, photos from space released. News in detail now. 81 MOH areas and 12 districts have been identified as high-risk dengue breeding zones. Accordingly, Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara, Kurunegala, Putlam, Galle, Jaffna, Kandy, Ratnapura, Ampara, Trincomalee and Mathura districts have been identified. Several thousand dengue patients have been reported from these districts during the month of January. Most of the cases of dengue have been reported from the Colombo district. All arrangements have been finalized to conduct the 74th Independence Day celebration on a grand scale under the theme Isurumat Ratak Saha Saubhagyamat Sri Lankawa. All nations are working together after obtaining independence. Minister Chamal Rajapaksa said that everyone who dedicated for the independence of the country will be remembered. He made these remarks at a media briefing held today. The rehearsal of the ceremony will be held at the Independence Square premises following health guidelines. Minister Professor G.L. Perez says that the activities of the Jaffna International Airport has been suspended temporarily in order to prevent the spread of COVID. At a media briefing held at the Jaffna District Secretariat office, he said that this has not been closed on political needs. He pointed out that measures will be taken to open the Jaffna airport soon. Minister Bandula Gunadana says that the consumers can purchase a large coconut at 75 rupees across the Sathusa outlet from today. The program is implemented centering on the Colombo district. However, the consumers have to buy several goods in order to obtain a coconut. They took this measure to prevent the selling of coconut at higher prices. This program is being initiated under the agreement reached by the Coconut Development Board and the Sathusa Institute. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Ceylon Electricity Board said today the third generator at the Lakvijay power plant in Norachole has been rectified after it broke down recently. Accordingly, 160 megawatt of electricity have been added to the national grid. The Sri Lanka Railway Department says that 14 turns of rail operation have been cancelled today due to a group of railway guards that have been infected with the coronavirus. Accordingly, 6 turns of main railway line and 3 turns of Putlam railway line, 2 runs of the coastal line and 2 train operations of the Kalani Valley railway line have been cancelled. Former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says Sri Lanka should engage with the International Monetary Fund to overcome the current economic crisis, and many countries have had to tighten their belts. He also pointed out the need of a national policy framework with the support of all parties in order to get rid of the present crisis. He recalled how the country obtained the support of IMF when the country faced such a crisis at 3 occasions after having discussions with the IMF. A long-term plan is needed to rebuild the country. The financial assistance from the IMF had been taken in the years 1989, 2001 and 2015. Minister Professor G.L. Perez says the activities of the Jaffna International Airport have been suspended temporarily in order to prevent the spread of COVID. At a media briefing held at the Jaffna District Secretariat office, he said that this has not been closed on political needs. He pointed out that measures will be taken to open the Jaffna airport soon. And that ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Minister of Media has prepared a 5-way program for the development and the success of the professions of journalists. It includes the Desi Insurance Scheme, the Best Media Institution Presidential Awards Ceremony to evaluate the journalists, digitalizing of Rupawahini and extending the media ID by 3 years. Minister Dalasala Pirma made these remarks at a workshop for journalists held at the District Secretariat Office in Mathura yesterday. More than 100 regional journalists participated at the occasion. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight, commuters complain that most of the private buses are charging incorrect fares and not following the revised bus fares. The conductors of these buses are not using a ticket machine. It has also been reported that although the minimum charge is 70 rupees, they take 20 rupees. People are facing many hardships as the bus fares have been increased considerably. They also pointed out that it is very unfair to overcharge the bus fares. This is for the attention of the chairman of the National Transport Commission, and that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
In the headlines, North Korea missile tests, photos from space released. US calls for dialogue with North Korea. UN chief calls for solidarity with Myanmar. World news in detail now. North Korean state media has released photographs it says were taken from its biggest missile launch since 2017. The pictures show parts of the Korean peninsula and surrounding areas seen from space. North Korea said the ballistic missile was an intermediate-range Hwasong-12. South Korea and Japan said it reached an altitude of 2,000 kilometers before landing in waters off Japan. Both countries have condemned the launch, the seventh test this month. The photographs released by the North Korean state news agency KCNA were reportedly taken from a camera fitted to the missile's test warhead. A senior US official has urged North Korea to engage in talks following the country's launch of an intermediate-range ballistic missile yesterday. Reuters news agency quotes the official as saying, "It's not just what they did yesterday, it's the fact that this is coming on the heels of quite a significant number of tests in this month." The official added, "They reiterate their call for diplomacy. They stand ready and they are very serious about trying to have discussions that address concerns on both sides." UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has called on the international community to stand in solidarity with the people of Myanmar 1 year after the country's military overturned the civilian government. Guterres released a statement yesterday ahead of the anniversary of Myanmar's military coup on February 1st last year. The military detained pro-democracy leaders, including Aung San Suu Kyi, and cracked down on protests against the coup. Back to the headlines of the world news. North Korea missile tests, photos from space released. US calls for dialogue with North Korea. UN chief calls for solidarity with Myanmar. And that ends world news.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
In development news, the services of the world's largest Palmyra Research Institute has been expanded. Minister of Foreign Affairs Professor G.L. Peris, Minister of Justice Ali Sabri and several others visited the world's largest research institute for Palmyra in Kaitani. Recently, they visited all the sub-laboratories such as analytical and microbiology and appreciated the new tasks of the PRIs such as engaging with coconut research, foreign research consultations and university collaborations. And that was development news.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
In sports is cricket. After their quarter-final heartbreak against Afghanistan, Sri Lanka rode on a brilliant century from their captain Dunith Wellalage to put it past South Africa in the fifth place playoff semi-final in North Sound. Opting to bat, Sri Lanka had slipped to a 25 for 3 by the ninth over. South Africa's 15-year-old fast bowler Kwena Mafaka sending the openers back in a fairy first spell. Siobhan Daniel and Wellalage then rebuilt the 62-run fourth wicket stand before Daniel was dismissed for a 54-ball 29. Sri Lankan number one mixed double pair Sachin Dias and Tilini Handaheva created history when they emerged champions to take gold medal at the Odisha Open Badminton Tournament concluded at Jawaharlal Nehru Indoor Stadium in India. And that was sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka export sector marked a successful year in 2021, registering a 23% growth of $15.1 billion from the export of goods and services, said Suresh Dimel, chairman of the Export Development Board of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka increased exports by 23% amidst a challenging environment faced both locally and globally, and merchandise exports hit the highest ever in the history by reaching $12.14 billion mark. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
Plantation Minister Dr. Ramesh Patrana said that Sri Lanka's tea production in 2021 rose by 9.3% to 305 million kilograms from a year ago, despite the fertilizer crisis. The tea industry in particular is showing signs of improvement. He also stated that tea production in 2020 is 279 million kilograms, but despite the fertilizer crisis, they produced 305 million kilos of tea last year. And that was economic news.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The weather report.
The Met Department says that several spells of showers will occur in the eastern, Nuwa, northern, north central provinces and in the Matale and Nuwara Elia district. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the western, southern and Sabaragamu provinces and in the Kandy district during the evening or at night. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters can be expected at some places in the southern province and in Ratnapura and Kaluthura districts. That was the weather report. And to conclude this news broadcast, back to the headlines. 12 districts have been identified as high-risk dengue breeding zones. All arrangements have been finalized to conduct the 74th Independence Day ceremony. Measures to open the Jaffna airport soon. Coconut can be purchased at a reasonable price from Sathusa. Several railway turns of operations have been cancelled due to corona. A 5-way program for journalists. Foreign news, North Korea missile tests, photos from space released. And with that, we end this news broadcast.